Welcome back to the Maturity Project. I'm your host, Chad Everett Broshears, and today's conversation is a continuation of the 7 questions of readiness. Ask yourself and qualify these questions on a daily basis when you're going to perform physical performance things. If you're going to go to the gym, if you're going to work out, you're going to get a good one in. Let's make sure you ask these questions of yourself. They are holistically founded questions that help give you a deeper understanding and insight on exactly what's going on with your body. Qualify. So if you are a fitness professional, this will take you so much further than just looking at your client going, I know what you need today, whatever crap. There's a lot of stuff that people I know how to assess my client just by looking at him as soon as I see him. Well, I got to tell you, I've done this now. 15 years that I have worked professionally in fitness. And I will tell you, I can't do that effectively. These 7 questions will actually create quite a breakthrough for you. So whatever side of the profession you're on, whether you're consuming or you're just a hobbyist, whatever it might be, or if you are a professional, these questions are helpful. Quick recap of those 7 questions. You can put them in any order you want, but I'll put them in this order today. That is energy, 1 to 10, 1 being no energy and 10 being you couldn't possibly have more. Intensity is about the workout itself. How intense do you want that workout to be, or this workout you're about to do? 1 would be, I'd rather go to sleep, and 10 would be, I am ready to puke and crawl out of here, because I want to give it everything. Give me something beyond my limits. That's a 10. All right. Stress, 1 to 10. 1 being, I don't feel anything at all. And 10 being, my head is going to explode. Please, God, put me out of my misery. That's the stress level, right? Sleep, 1 to 10. 1 being, I didn't sleep at all. No quality or no quantity. Horrible. 10, I slept feeling incredibly rejuvenated. I was awake before my alarm clock, and my feet were on the floor, and I was in the mood to get the day going. That's a 10 when it comes to the quality of sleep. Now, food. Did you eat? When did you eat? What did you eat? And how much did you eat? Those are all very valuable questions. All right, water. How much? In ounces. How many ounces did you drink? Now, was it room temperature? Or was there anything added? Simple when it comes to water, but I have done an episode already on water as well as food. And I do advise checking those out. I'll put them at the end of this video so you can just scroll down and see it, grab it, check it out, okay? And then pain. Today's conversation is about pain. I grew up in the era when no pain, no gain was the cliched statement people said even outside of the gym because it was popularized by Mr. Arnold Schwarzenegger. No pain, no gain. By the way, I don't want to make this too cringy. I've got a horrible Arnold Schwarzenegger impersonation. And I don't take pride in it either. I do it because it's a goof. But anyway, he made it popular. And here's some of the problems. I worked for 3.5 years in a physical therapy office. So one of the first places that I actually worked in the fitness industry, which I am incredibly grateful for my time there. Getting to know Dr. Andy, the physical therapist, as well as the person that owned the company I worked with, Eric. Incredibly passionate, knowledgeable people. And I will tell you that there are a lot of injuries that people get in the gym because they mutter the mantra, no pain, no gain. The truth is, no discomfort, little to no gain. It's not pain. Pain is too vague. And I know that's not really the depth of thinking that Mr. Arnold Schwarzenegger was going through whenever he had uttered the statement. And he probably heard it from somewhere else as well. Who knows the actual origin, but he's coined with it. At least in my lifetime, he's coined with it. And who knows? I'm certain that if you sat down and talked to him, he would have a far more in-depth and better understanding of that statement and a better way of elaborating it for you. So here's the thing. Pain is very commonly indicative of damage. Discomfort is also associated with degrees of damage, like especially when you're exercising, because you are tearing fibers in your muscle, and it does give you specific signals, especially when it goes through the healing cycle, which is also called DOMS, which stands for delayed onset muscle soreness. Now, I use the 7 questions of readiness to help me better understand really the internal terrain, because I can take somebody and change their movement patterns and have them crying for the next several days because they're in so much discomfort. It is associated with pain. I don't like doing that to people because that can leave a negative consequence long term for working out or for exercise itself. And people can tell themselves fitness isn't for me, or I need to just not perform at the levels that I'm capable of because I've had a bad experience and I don't want to have that bad experience again. So it gets to be that simplistic when it comes to the 7 questions of readiness, but also the depth and value of what these questions actually illuminate for a professional, or if you were knowledgeable enough on the hobby side or the being active at the gym, then yeah, you can qualify as well. So, discomfort, 1 to 10. 10 would be pain. A 1 would be, I don't feel anything at all. I could be sleeping. I'm in cloud 9 right now. No idea. There's your range. Now, from that range, what are we working with? Exercise itself. What's your performance intentions? What are you wanting to do? Because I asked the question about stress, I asked the question about energy, and I asked the question about intensity, because it helps me understand if you are using exercise for stress management and your stress levels are high enough, your body's performance abilities may not be up to that quality. You can be way up here with your desire for movement and to mitigate the stress, and your performance level can be down here, but you don't know it because you're focused on the stressor, and you know that you get the endorphin values to help you feel more euphoric, or at least feel better to some degree, the dopamine from it. You'll get these experiences by putting that effort into the workout, and then you'll leave feeling that you did something to positively impact your day. It's a psychological, emotional, and physiological experience that you go through from a good workout. Here's the problem. Your pain can be the governor of your ability by simply telling me, hey, I've got a very high stress load. I have a very high desire for intensity because I want to have a breakthrough in my workout. I want to have a badass workout. I want to also start really seeing some change because maybe I'm frustrated. I've been doing this as long as I have and I haven't seen the kind of change that I think I should see, because you don't necessarily know the timelines of change, especially when you don't look at it from a holistic perspective and you look at calories in, calories out, and then total workload, calories out, workload. And you don't understand recovery cycles. You don't understand the other variables necessary to fully comprehend what the hell you're doing with your body. So you get into, I'm going to push. Well, if you don't have that quality understanding, you may redline at a much lower level than you expect, which could cause, the unpleasant experiences. Maybe you'll vomit, maybe, whatever. It'd rather be that being the limiting factor to your performance, where you vomit and you have a negative emotional impact for a moment where you're like, yeah, I just pushed myself too hard, and you'll get over it and go back to the gym and continue your exercise routine and build a healthy lifestyle of it. Or you'll say, I didn't puke, but I felt a pop. I felt this sensation in my back, or I tore something. I know I tore something. I blew out my knee. That could be that end where you create a lifelong injury or something that requires surgical intervention in order to correct because you did not pay attention to your body. See, the wisdom is built into the details of these questions. And again, with these questions, it takes me, I can get through the questions with accuracy in 20 seconds with a conditioned client. Client that is familiar with it. And I can actually have a very in-depth understanding of what the hell am I going to do with my client for the next 30 minutes to an hour. As well as what kind of programs I can design for them, what kind of nutrition they are in need of, not necessarily like what to eat as far as like a dietitian's approach, but more of categorically what would help them macro-wise and micro-wise for performance and recovery. So if I see that my client isn't really performing well, and their discomfort, by the way, everybody has a relative scale when it comes to pain, and I do have that as it's a very early on breakthrough conversation where I help them tell me their scale, because actually women have a higher threshold for pain than men on average. So I have to understand that, because there have been people that an 8 to some of my female clients can be beyond a 10 to some of my male clients. It's really fascinating when it comes to that. So equal but not the same. So how do you treat people like that? So I have to understand the parameters of their pain or their discomfort to pain scale so that I better understand it. I have to have them put it in their words. I'm like, if you had to think of the absolute worst sensation you could possibly fathom, and then what would be the bottom, right? There's no sensation whatsoever, right? There's no discomfort. There's nothing. It's 0 basically. And really the scale is 1 to 10, right? But a 1 would be that, I don't feel anything. You'd be sleeping in I could be suspended in in lukewarm water. I don't feel anything. I'm just floating. Feel great. Not euphoric because it's not really there. It's just discomfort to pain. Okay. So once I understand that, I can gauge it from there. And it does not fit everybody. As I said, it's very individualized. So I don't go to my next client and go, hey, what are you doing? Because if I go to them and say, hey, the woman before you performed at a much higher level, I don't understand why you're not pushing yourself harder here. I could directly affect in a negative way my client's abilities to continue working with me or even continue their efforts in fitness. I'm not out to diminish or demean anybody in this. I'm out to adjust accordingly to make the best workout possible for the client. So now, don't worry, I'm not going to do my Arnold yell. Oh, God. I kind of want to, but I'm not going to torture or torment you guys. So, all right, when it comes to that, that's the performance side, right? Like you'll see people, they get nauseous. Some people, and I have had clients, they do not qualify a good workout unless they have pushed themselves on this is intensity, by the way, the intensity level to the point they're ready to grab a trash can. They've got to have that watery mouth. They've got to have that sensation that their stomach is about to evacuate, right? They've got to have that purge, right? They've got to have it or they're not going to qualify a good workout. They need to feel like they were beat into the ground for them to feel like they got a quality workout. And if you fall below that, that's actually kind of common when it comes to the firebrand types, because there's like firebrand, waterbrand, that kind of thing. Firebrands are really, really they're on average fairly aggressive people, but no one thing fits all approach to when it comes to this. It's very unique and individualized. That's why I have a higher success rate when it comes to losing weight, building muscle, overall performance, longevity and health and well-being, positive change, desirable change, specifically in the behavior categories. So why I have such a high success rate with that is because I adjust accordingly to the individual's needs based off of these types of questions, the in-depth look at the individual. So if I know that my client comes to me and they have a history of an injury, well, as a corrective exercise specialist, I'd put them through specific exercises to help balance out those joints properly. So my goal with that would be, they come in, they're like, hey, Chad, I want to go real intense today. Like, okay, fantastic. You got a high number on your intensity. Now, where's your energy levels today? Because if your intensity's there, I hope you got the energy. Sometimes you'll generate within a specific amount of energy. If you come in at 8, I warm you up, I get you moving. You may be up to a 9.5, possibly a 10, because of the metabolic response from movement. Not just throwing back energy drinks or coffee, but actual movement itself generates energy as well, especially for a healthy body. Now, because you're burning calories, right? Then I'll ask about the stress levels, because that's going to help me understand, do you have anything that's motivating you to try to push harder on the workout? Now, that stress level is based off of what I understand, and I typically have that depth of a connection with my clients, so I understand what they're going through in their life for a large degree, because they also like to try to talk to their trainers as like therapists, if you will. We're not, by the way. But they like to talk to us that way, the same as a lot of people do that with hairstylists or barbers. There's specific professions people seem to kind of look for that cathartic release by having conversations that are very personal. So sleep quality. So if you tell me that you want a high intensity, your energy is somewhere, that kind of makes me go, that's a yellow flag. I'm going to keep an eye on that. Then the stress conversation comes into play. I'm like, okay, what's motivating you with stress? Like not asking what's motivating you with stress, by the way. I'm just asking you, what's your stress levels, 1 to 10? And I've already had this established, by the way. That's the first couple of sessions really get a good job. I do a real effective and specific point to understand that they understand the 7 questions of readiness. So what's your sleep quality? And if I find out the sleep, first off, nearly everybody says, yeah, I slept all night. Great. Now, was it like turning the light off and then the light came back on and you had the alarm clock wake you up? Was it quality? Did you have restful dreams? Were they vivid? What were they? Like, what was your sleep quality like? Because I want to get them to understand quality, not quantity. Although I really want quantity and quality, because that's the ideal direction. But not everybody has a luxury for that. Some people's lives have a different demand on them that don't allow for quantity, but quality can still be a part of it. So, and I've seen some really interesting things where quality of sleep goes up, but we're really just addressing exercise, nutrition, and water. And then all of a sudden they sleep better, right? It's wonderful how this can work out. So now food, what kinds are you eating? What's your behavior like? What are your moods like? Things like that. Do you feel like you have is food sitting heavy in your stomach? Do you feel like you're digesting properly? How are your bowel movements? Are you solidified, and how many, are you moving up to 12 inches of bowel movement per day? I want to know that stuff. I'm not going to ask them for photos. It's not like a baby picture or anything like that. I'm not looking for that information necessarily. I just want to hear that the food is being digested as well as it can be perceived based off of the bowel movement. Because you can find whole things in there, like the mystery of corn, right? Chew it all you want. You find it on the back end. So there's a lot to be deduced by understanding BMs. So, but the food in, out, right? Water, no. And it's, by the way, as I spoke about this before, and again, like I said, it will be a video at the end of this. Water is how much have you had? How many ounces? Is it cold? Is it room temperature? Did you add anything to it? What kind of water is it? Is it tap? Is it spring water? Is it purified? Is it filtered, distilled? What kind of water are you drinking? So I better understand what it's doing in your body to the degree of performance and weight loss and health. So, all right. And then the pain. Now, if you tell me that your energy is yellow flag, right? And yellow flag can be between, let's say a 4 and an 8. It's actually, I'm sorry, I feel more comfortable with 4 to 7. It would be kind of like the yellow flag range. If your energy level is really low, there's energizing exercise. There's exercises for everything. There's digestive exercises, energy exercises. There's a lot of stuff when it comes to this. By the way, all this falls under the maturity of physical maturity, because exercise and health are intrinsically connected. So movement is required. And was it Plato, I believe, that says if you can't move, you can't think? I want to say it was Plato. Oh, anyway, it's all connected. So, but if you tell me all these things and I'm like, okay, there's a couple of yellow flags, there's, some green flags in here, and then we get to pain or discomfort, and you tell me, hey, I got a yellow flag in discomfort. That might actually be a stress overload, a stress override, a stress override, a ride against pain. My stress factors are more motivating than my body's response and the discomfort of movement that tells me to slow down, be cautious, and I'm willing to push past that because maybe there's a potential divorce looming in the future, or possible loss of job, or you realize that you don't fit in your clothes right and somebody said something to you and you realize that your body is not in the shape you want it to be in. Whatever it might be. I do not want to put any blinders or, let's say, electrical tape over the check engine light as you're driving around. We don't want to take that off, especially as a corrective exercise specialist, is we want to address it. If we can balance out the joint from corrective exercise, corrective stretching, corrective strengthening, then we can potentially let the body's healing factors take place and potentially restore some of the damage. But that pain indicator is a check engine light. I don't want you driving around with that on. I want to know what we can do with it. We might have to get to the point that we accept that you're going to drive around with it on, but we're going to modify the entire workout so that it does not infringe upon increasing that pain in that area, wherever it is. It's a reference that I learned early on. I learned this one from Eric Mabey. He's the owner of Bodies by Design. Love the guy to death. He is an amazing human being. Surround the dragon is the term that he would use. You just surround the dragon. You can't get rid of it. You surround it so that it can't cause more harm. That's it. All right, you got it surrounded. The same principles are applied to amputees. You just learn how to work with the removal of that particular function, whether that's walking or if it's whatever it might be. You learn to create a method that can work with that person's needs. Now, when it comes to beginners, you'll have to understand exactly what is taking place in the body. A lot of people like to say, and I am not in the camp with this, but a lot of people like to say that DOMS, the delayed onset muscle soreness, is lactic acid. You hear that pretty often, especially, I mean, I think now science is finally starting to get more mainstream to teach people it's not lactic acid. That's in the Krebs cycle. It's early on. You flush that out pretty quick. What it is it's the microfibers, or it's the fiber tears. It's micro tears in the fibers of the muscle. That is because you changed your movement pattern, you created new directions of damage to that area of the muscle. By the way, it's normal. You do this from movement, but your body quickly starts to heal it. It's going to be scar tissue on those the areas of tear from movement. And then when you move scar tissue, because again, privilege of working in a physical therapy office is that when you start moving scar tissue, it's pretty uncomfortable. It can be pretty painful for some people, depending especially on where it is and how much of it, and then the frequency that part of the body moves. Guys, it's not pleasant. And scar tissue is insanely quick, by the way. It will blow your mind how fast your body will start developing scar tissue. I mean, think about it. You just do an exercise in a closed system, and all of a sudden you've got that muscle soreness. So, yeah, there's just a lot to go into whenever it comes to physical, but I'm going to keep it at this for now. Now, if you're interested in this and you'd like to know more about the way that we do program design specifically for exercise in the physical maturity category, feel free. You can reach out to us at yourmaturityproject@gmail.com. That's YOUR maturityproject@gmail.com. We do take the holistic route and direction when it comes to educating and developing programs for people so that we can touch every area that's necessary. If you caught the video on food or water, you'll realize that this is a lot more than just 8 to 10 ounces of water. Or, yeah, make sure you get your macros. There's a lot more to it, but you don't have to worry about passing a test on this. We're not doing that. We just want to inform you so you have more knowledge to make it functional because it's applicable and you can do something with it. It's typically more eye-opening. That's more the direction that we go with when we are educating holistically. So, again, you're not doing that approach with us to just get the, hey, I got to pass this test and sound like the smartest guy in the room. No, we want applicable. We want something that's going to be used. I don't want this to be trivial for anybody. How we do that is through the assessment process to make sure that you are being assessed properly so that when you do get a program, you know how to use it. By the way, I'll do this one before we finalize the video today. And this is stretching, because stretching, my God, people do not understand stretching. And some of the people that have the greatest challenge with that are the professionals when it comes to stretching. So I'm not out to knock any professions, but I will tell you this. Stretching can damage the body just like exercise itself, and even increase the likelihood of an injury, especially if you don't understand the science of stretching. So there is static stretching, there is dynamic stretching, and there is ballistic stretching. And each one has their value. If you don't apply them properly, you will run into some problems, right? Corrective stretching does have a lot of static value, but it also has the exercises that follow that continue to stabilize the joint that has had that static stretching associated with it. That can be before the workout because it's being done with somebody who's knowledgeable on corrective. Dynamic stretching is better for performance, but so long as the body's well balanced. If you're out of balance, you probably need to, it's not probably, actually, you need to go the route of corrective so that you can better balance out the joints so you don't create the wobbly wheel issue in the car that actually creates more mechanical problems than just the wheel if you continue to drive it that way. So corrective, then dynamic, and then potentially ballistic. Just depends, by the way, because you can do that with people that are high-end athletes, people that are well conditioned to move fast, but it is very tactful. And the majority of people just go right into ballistic stretching that are cold. And my God, please don't do that. But I use the scale of 1 to 10 on stretching. 1 being I feel absolutely nothing. And 10 being I feel like somebody's tearing muscle off of my body. So inside of that, you have your range. You have 2 to 9. So a 2 would be I barely feel anything, but I do notice a slight little sensation, but it's nothing really. A 3 would be, hey, this is really starting to feel good. A 4 would be, This still feels good, but it's starting to get just a little uncomfortable. I can feel the hints of discomfort. A 5 would be, okay, this is starting to feel a little uncomfortable. A 6 would be, yeah, this is getting uncomfortable, but I could hold this stretch. If I had to, I could probably hold this stretch for a minute or more before I'd feel like I have to stop. A 7 would be, yeah, I probably got, I don't know, 30 seconds for this stretch. An 8 would be, yeah, I probably don't need to hold this for long, maybe 10, 15 seconds, but I'm worried because it does feel like it's starting to tear or it could hurt myself. A 9 would be, oh no, if I keep this up, I'm going to hurt myself. And a 10 would be, yeah, this is going to hurt me. So tear something right off your body, right? When I teach, especially when I teach stretching, is dependent on the person, right? If they have an injury, it is treated differently than somebody who just has an imbalance without injury. If the person is they're well conditioned and performance ready, meaning they're ready to become, they can do athletic conditioning, then that person could do a 4-5 on their stretch, but I don't go above a 5. There's different schools of thought. There are stretch, contract, release. There's assisted stretching. I do assist in the stretching process, but I still use those parameters. I also notate everything because no parts of your body are symmetrically aligned in the way of its full range of motion. So you may be able to go range of motion to full range in one direction or one part of your body. The other part, it seems like it is, but until you look at it mechanically, then you realize that there are some problems in this alignment because there's some compensation. You're rotating your shoulder, whatever. There's something that is not in the same pattern as the other side. So I look at that and I say, okay, this is how we're going to create a corrective stretching protocol. And then it is only stretch what needs to be stretched. You don't need to stretch every part of the body. There's tight and taut. Tight, obviously, well understood. It's just a tight muscle group. If you don't know the range of motion to the joint, then it's better you become educated in the range of motion, proper range of motion. And then that scale value 1 to 10 on the discomfort to pain and stretching, as I just mentioned very recently. Then we want to get you to understand the mechanical cheats that you'll do when it comes to stretching, so that we're coming up with the best protocol. So you do not want to stretch a taut muscle. The opposite of tight is taut. That is that it's stretched out. And if you are just doing it because it's just part of your regimen, then you may be stretching a muscle that doesn't need to be stretched, which when you stretch a muscle that doesn't need to be stretched, you're actually very likely to be destabilizing the joint that it's associated with or attached to. So be aware of that. There is a point in time that you don't want to go any further because you don't want to make any joint in your body hypermobile, because hypermobile joints are increasing the likelihood of an injury. If you'd like to know more and to have something very personalized, again, send me an email at yourmaturityproject@gmail.com. Again, that's yourmaturityproject@gmail.com. You can put in the attention, looking for program design or coaching or something like that, and we'll make sure that we address that appropriately. Okay. All right. I'll stop here. It's gone on a lot longer than I wanted to when it comes to this particular topic, but that's okay. This has created a great degree of value for you. Do share this video with somebody in your life that you know that you want to start an impactful and meaningful conversation with. The Maturity Project itself covers 8 different areas of maturity. Physical body is one of the 8. If you want to know more, by all means, you can subscribe to our channel on YouTube at The Maturity Project. You could subscribe to us on or follow us on Spotify under The Maturity Project or TikTok. We are going to be exploring other avenues as well, and I am now writing blogs and publishing those as well for different insights and viewpoints on the maturity aspects of life. So it's not just fitness, but you can just stop at fitness. You don't need to go any further if that's what you really want, or if it's just health. So, all right, with that, I am your host, Chad Everett Brochures. This is The Maturity Project. There is a lot in this education, and hell, there is a lot in the physical body, and I just pointed at the iceberg from miles away and said, it's over there. Don't worry. You don't need to study to know it all. That's why you got people like me. And there's quite a few people out there that actually are knowledgeable in these areas. I would say seek out a professional. You're far better to do that and then study what that professional has to teach you about your body so that you can learn how to use your body. You don't need to know all bodies. It depends on your degree of interest. But most of us, our lives are too busy to stop and actually learn everybody's body. But a lot of this stuff is really fascinating. If you're interested to know more, please, like I said, send me an email. Comment in the comment section as well. I'm happy to actually engage with you guys. And don't forget, you can be part of the community. This community is one of the 8 areas of maturity. And it is nice to let other people know you're up to something just like the rest of us are. And you can be a contribution to somebody else's success just by commenting. So if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Follow us. Like the video. Help us with the algorithm. You know the old stuff. It's all there. Check out the other videos at the end of this. That'll help give a little bit more. I will add the food and water portion. So those 2 will be in there, as well as physical maturity. I've got an old video on that one I'll put in there as well. So, all right. Again, this is Chad Ever Brochures. This is a maturity project. We grow through what we go through. We're going to take yesterday's mistakes and we're going to turn it into tomorrow's success. So let's get up to it. Let's get up to it together. We'll catch you on the next one. See ya.